I just got a reminder of that video of that kid not listening to his teacher because he's alpha.
I am the teacher.
The alpha takes priority over the teacher.
And every time I see something like that, I'm just reminded that teachers just aren't paid enough. Just saying that reminds me of this teacher that I had my freshman year of high school. Let's just call her Miss Frizzle. Now, Miss Frizzle was a new teacher. It was either her first or second year teaching at my high school. And everyone knows that in high school, the incoming freshmen are the most insufferable group of people in the world. Looking back at it, I honestly cringe, because we were terrible. Now, for this particular class that I'm talking about with this teacher, it didn't matter how she looked, it didn't matter how she felt. One thing was true of every day. My class was gonna give her a tough time. And a lot of times I did feel bad for her. Not that it made me want to pay attention to biology, but this teacher didn't really seem like she was having the best life outside of school. I think she was like 28, but she had a very unfortunate look to her that made her look a little bit older. I think me and my classmates also found out that she was going through a divorce the year that she was teaching our class. And she was a heavier set woman. Not that that matters, but annoying high school kids can be pretty brutal. That's what I meant when I said sometimes I'd feel bad for her, because the kids would sometimes just make fun of her. Now, I personally never made fun of her. I just didn't pay attention in class. And this particular class period was so unfortunate for her because it was full of kids that were just coming from lunch and they all kind of knew each other. But like coming from lunch, we obviously all had a lot of energy and there weren't individual desks. We had like group tables. And like I said, everyone kind of knew each other. So she could never move anyone around in any combination that would make it less rowdy. So it was that mixed in with the fact that no 14-year-old wants to learn biology. But the biggest problem with her is that she just did not like kids. And she had no problem showing it either. I've had some teachers in some very boring subjects, but they actually cared about what they were doing and they cared about the kids. Sometimes if it was really loud in class, all the kids would suddenly get quiet and we could catch her like mumbling something under her breath. It was definitely all stuff that she really didn't want the school to know she was saying, but it just got worse and worse throughout the school year. There was this one kid in the class who's like the epitome of I don't give a fuck. His name was Ryan and he really just did not care. His parents didn't speak a lick of English, so anytime that the administrators would try to tell his parents something, they just couldn't. So he would just randomly be in class like, Miss Frizzle's a dumb bitch. Or he'd like make a comment about her weight, and you could only do so much to someone who doesn't care. So at a certain point she just gave up. She would just pretend like she didn't hear him. Over the course of the year she started to come in like less and less put together. She was coming into class with straggly hair, just coughing. Sometimes she smelled like cigarettes. There's one particular day when she came in and everyone kind of knew that something was up. She didn't even want to speak to the class, so she decided to put on a Bill Nye video. It was like 15 minutes long and none of it was really relevant to what we were learning in class. I think anyway, I wasn't paying attention. And while the video was playing, everyone just kept talking to each other. Like it sounded like a cafeteria in that science lab. And everyone's just talking and talking and it's so loud in there. She had both hands on her head like, and at a certain point she just stood up and was like, stop! She was moving like Paul Atreides. And whenever she told us to be quiet, it never really worked because no one really took anything she said seriously. And everyone kind of had a vendetta against her because we knew that she didn't like kids, not even just us. But for whatever reason on this day, everyone just shut up. She stood there for about 10 seconds in the Jimmy Butler NBA Finals pose, and at a perfectly normal speaking volume, she just said, you guys are the reason I'm gonna start drinking again. And for a little bit, everyone just kind of sat there shocked. To me, it seemed like she was implying that she had a serious drinking problem before, and that our class specifically reignited it. And then that dude Ryan just cupped his hands to his mouth and said, can I have some? And the whole class just started laughing. So she actually sent Ryan to the principal's office and brought in a random sub, and she left for the rest of the day. You gotta feel bad for her in some ways, but how are you gonna get a job as a teacher when you hate children? Teaching is not a well-paying job, and like some of the things she used to mumble under her breath were just crazy. So needless to say, she was done with that job about 2 years after that incident, and I haven't really thought about her much since. She saved my life sitting me in the back of class for that final though. Be nice to your teachers, unless they hate kids, I guess. But that's it for this one. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, and get out of here.